Welcome to the Diamond Grind Podcast. Today's guest was born and raised right here in sunny Arizona, went to Cactus Shadows High School, spent 2 years at Central Arizona Community College playing center field, and this coming year will be a Lobo at the University of New Mexico, none other, Antonio Gianni. What's going on, brother?
How you doing? Good to see you.
Good to see you too, man. Good to see you. I'm excited to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. I've known you for, 5 years now?
Yeah.
Roughly?
About 5, yeah.
Dude, you guys, your dad, your mom, most wonderful people I know.
Thank you.
You've helped my son out a lot with his baseball journey. He's only 12, but he's got a lot of good advice from you and your dad. So what better way to have you on as my first guest for the podcast, man. I really appreciate you being here. So I'm just going to get right into it, dude. So tell us a little bit about Antonio.
Okay, so grew up in a sports family. You know, that's kind of always been our thing. I played basketball, volleyball, soccer, baseball. I rode scooters, BMX bike, anything that could spend my parents' money, I did. But, really never fell in love with the sport until COVID, my freshman year. And it wasn't until that hit and I had nothing else to do, had to stay inside. The only time I could go to the field was just my dad and I. And yeah, that's kind of where I fell in love with it. So
Fell in love with baseball.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And, that was something I really never expected. You actually ask a lot of his old players when I was younger, they were like, oh yeah, he had no idea if you were going to play or not. I'm really glad. And a part of that was I wanted to be a lot like him. He was a fourth rounder in high school. And coming from an immigrant family, baseball is not a thing in Italy. So for him to persevere and go and be a draft pick out of high school with no one to train with was kind of my motivator. I had him by my side and I had him guiding me. And that was one thing that I started to fall in love with was more than just a sport, but the time that we could spend together. So that was really enjoyable for me. And now it's my dream and goal to be in the big leagues and play for a long time. And that's how I want to support my family one day, is to be a professional baseball player.
Those are good goals, brother. Let's go back a little bit. So baseball obviously wasn't your first love.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't fall in love with it until 2020, till COVID. What sport was your first love? What did you play growing up?
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't even say it was a sport that I loved. Like, I have always been a little musical. I've been playing the drums since fourth grade.
We're going to get into that
in
a bit too. So.
Yeah, I've been playing the drums since fourth grade. I self-taught myself piano. I'm not great, but, I can learn. And then guitar as well. Like, I've always loved music. So for me to dabble between the two, it was kind of like jack of all trades, master of none. So I never really had a love. I liked doing a lot of things. I liked keeping myself busy. So baseball kind of just fell into my lap. It was like the right time and the right place for me to dedicate it, dedicate my life to it. So I wouldn't really even say I had a love at first. Soccer was a lot of fun.
Basketball? You talked to me about basketball.
My mom wanted me to play basketball. She's Serbian descent, and that's a big sport in Serbia and Yugoslavia. And I enjoyed it, but it was one of those things, like, I liked playing. I didn't like practicing,
Yeah.
I didn't love the practice. So I was never going to be good at it because I wasn't going to work on my ball handling. I wasn't going to put up 100 shots a day from the free throw line and then move around the paint. Like, that is just not something I like doing. I loved playing, though, fast-paced game. It was really enjoyable. But there wasn't really that love for anything even close to what I feel for baseball now.
Let's talk about this. So your mom's Serbian,
Mm-hmm.
your dad's Italian. What was it like growing up in that household, and who was the most competitive out of those two? And where do you get your competitiveness from? I already know this answer, but I want to hear from you.
I mean, honestly, because you know me, I feel like I get the competitiveness from my mom, 100%.
I would agree.
She is so feisty and serious when it comes to anything sports-based. You talk about cleaning the house, she's competitive. So I mean, definitely you could tell first generation, like they grew up in different time periods. The way they were raised, and that kind of transferred over to my childhood, which I'm really happy with. You know, I wouldn't have changed a thing. You know, even though they might have been a little strict about me coming home some nights and they were worried about me, it definitely like showed that they cared for me.
Mm.
And I'm really happy that I grew up in a household like that, you know. Two very different people.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't say bad cop, good cop, but you know, my dad, you know, he's stern, but he's also very encouraging. And my mom can be very soft and loving, but she's also the one that's really tough on you too. You know, so she it's a good balance. It's a good balance.
I remember coming to your Cactus Shadows games when you were in high school, and your mom wouldn't even come.
No,
She wouldn't come to your
no.
games.
I kid you not. If I went 3 for 4, she would pick on my fourth. They'd be like, "Why didn't you swing at that first pitch?" I mean, you're talking about a 3-sport athlete in college. Like, she is so competitive that she's like, I can't watch you if you're not locked in. It just makes me laugh because I'm like, Mom, like, I'd love to hit 1,000. I just don't know if that's possible.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That is your mom 100%.
100%.
Your dad's the laid back one.
He is. In his head, he's thinking it for sure. But
Yeah.
he's cerebral. You know, he brews on some stuff. He picks the right time and place to say it.
So let's move into baseball, right? That's why we're here. So we've talked about your upbringing. We've talked about where you get your competitiveness from. How did your dad help, him being involved in your life? Also, you know, you were blessed. He was a former major league player. And
Minors, unfortunately.
hey, majors is majors, dude. You make it to the minors, you're still in the
baseball
bigs.
player.
Yeah. But your dad is an unbelievable high school coach. He's been coaching baseball for what, 20 years?
28 now.
28 years now. Growing up in that household, you know, you said you didn't really take baseball serious until COVID. What was his approach? Like, being a baseball coach, I would assume that he wanted you to pick up the sport, but obviously your parents were great and let you play multiple sports and figure it out for yourself. When you flipped that switch and said, you know what, I'm going to focus on baseball, this is my sport, how did his approach change to you?
So from a young age, there was always little hints of baseball, you know, like old videos of me that used to hang a string from one of our archways, and it had a T-ball, and I'd swing this little bat all the time and hit the ball. And then when I grew up a little bit, he'd like do little things like, hey, I want you to swing this broomstick 20 times as fast as you can. And like, it's just old video, but I'm like, Dad, I don't want to do this. I'm pretty sure I was like 7 or 8. But he'd do little things, right, to get me athletic and get me to train. He's like, oh, I want to train his bat speed. But he was never pushy about anything. He told me, he was like, Antonio, I put that cage in the backyard for you. I am never going to ask you to go hit there. If you want to, I will always say yes. And it took 2 years before I asked him, okay, can we go hit in the cage? 2 years. And there's never been a time where I've asked him, hey, can we go hit in the backyard? And he says, no, I'm too busy. Or no, we can't today. Never been a time. And he stayed true to that promise. And I just think that was one thing that he understood, you know, being a professional, it was self-made. You know, he didn't have anyone there. He knew that he had to dedicate the time and he had to love the sport first before he could go out and put all this time into it. So the last thing he wanted to do was push me to do something I didn't love.
Yeah.
And at that time, I didn't love it, which he could tell. You know, I played so many other sports, and in my free time, I rather, you know, draw. And I have old artwork in my room from when I was in middle school still, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I used to love drawing. I used to love playing music, and he knew that. But it came a time where I started asking, he's like, I want Antonio and I to share this passion, so I will be there for him always. So that was the thing. They were never pushy. Still to this day, he's not, which now that I love it more and this is what I want my career to be, sometimes I wish he was like, hey, I think we got to get a little more work in. And I'd be like, of course, let's do it. But it's just that thing in his head where he doesn't want me to get burnt out. He wants me to be like, you know what, I want to do this.
Yep.
Not him wanting it for me.
Your dad's awesome. Okay. So let's jump to, okay, played at Cactus Shadows, had a great high school career, chose to go to Central Arizona Community College. Let's go. Why did you choose Central Arizona?
Joe Perez at Central Arizona, who great buddies with my dad through the years, was like, gee, send me your phone number. Let's get on a call. That day, called Joe. Hey, blah, blah, blah. We want to get you out here. Originally, they wanted me to go to Central right away. My ego was too big to go junior college and settle for something smaller, in my opinion, at the time. So I went to a couple camps at some big schools and got some small offers. And, I was like, I got to go to Central, and I hated the fact that I was going to a junior college. I felt that people were going to look at me different, that they were like, oh, he's like not good anymore. And like, as somebody who's always been an overthinker, like it just mentally destroyed me. And I struggled in Vermont. And it was like, I went 2 for 50. I was literally looking at the lineup every day, like I hope I'm not playing today, and I was just at such a low point that even, people who were big leaguers for a long time that we're good friends with talked to me, and it just didn't help because I've never experienced this before. I was so new to this that I had to work through it. And that really left me questioning and searching for my purpose in this game. Go to Central Arizona, start to pick up, start to play better, start to get my swagger. But even then, it's tough at a 2-year school. And you have your sophomores. I'm 18, my whole freshman year. I'm playing with 21 and 22-year-olds who've, they could be seniors, but they're medical red shirts and regular red shirts. Now they're in their second year. They got all this stuff going on. And it's like, wow, I'm playing with men now. Like, this is different. Like, they move different. They're more physical. They're faster. They're more mature. They can take a joke. Coming from Cave Creek, I couldn't take crap from anybody. Like, I would crumble. Oh, my gosh. Somebody picked on me. Holy, I was a little soft. And that's what JUCO taught me, how to toughen up a little bit.
So you grew up a little bit that first year, basically.
I'd say a lot. I still have a lot to work on. I'm always trying to better myself and be a better person and be tougher, be the best version of myself. But JUCO, I tell every high schooler now, is the best decision you can make for your baseball career. I don't care if people look at you different. Why do you care what other people think? Like, Central Arizona was the best thing I could have done for my career, and I will say that for the rest of my life. I learned so much how to treat other people, how to work hard, how to go to a place that's not admirable, middle of Casa Grande. There's nothing out there, We don't have the nicest weight room, but we make it work,
Yeah.
The field, first look, you're like, oh, there's better fields. Yeah, there's better places everywhere. But it's like, we're going to grind out here. We're going to work hard. And on Sundays, we're going to do field work with coaches, like we're going to come out and help them. And it was that type of thing that I would have never learned if I went to KU. Mm-hmm. And I would have learned eventually, but would I have been prepared for that? So yeah. I'm happy it happened early.
So you choose Central Arizona Community College, best decision you've made. Mm-hmm. Going to that first season, you play 24 games, you bat .241 with 2 home runs, no triples, no doubles. I think you had 3 stolen bases. Right? Not the greatest season, but you're also coming out of the slump in Vermont, and I'd say 241 with 2 home runs is a lot better than 2 for 50.
2 for
right?
50, yep.
So then you come into your second season at Central Arizona. You play 57 games, you bat .324 with 6 home runs, 36 runs batted in, 14 doubles, 4 triples, and 23 stolen bases. So I think you got a little speed on the base pads there.
Yeah.
What was the difference? What was that factor? We talked about so let's start back with Vermont. So Vermont to your first year at Central Arizona Community College. What happened after you came back from Vermont, which was what, the first month of the summer? So you had like 2 months before you had to.
Not even.
Not even?
I came back from Vermont August 13th, and I had to report August 16th.
Oh, wow. So not even a month.
No, and I left 2 days after high school graduation, too. So I was in Vermont from May 24th till August 13th.
And just for people that don't know, you're playing in Vermont. What type of league is that?
So
they can
it's like
understand.
college summer ball. So like when you get to your incoming freshman year or you're playing collegiate baseball, they have all these summer ball leagues across the country where you stay with the host family and you play, upwards to 75 games in the summer. And it's a lot of fun, especially for guys who didn't get a lot of action, or like high school dudes. We only played 25 games. So it acclimates you for the college season.
And it's not just straight out of high school. I remember you telling me Wake was in the College World Series at the time. And when that season was over, did you not have one of the pitchers from Wake come and play?
Yeah, we had 3 guys.
Three guys from Wake. So it's not just high school kids. I mean, you've got some ballers.
It's incoming freshmen to college, and then all the way through grad year. You got some studs. So going and playing in the Northeast, that was an eye opener. Completely different types of people that never met in my life. I've never been on the East Coast. And it was a different level of baseball. You had Division III guys throwing 81 up there, and I'm striking out. And I'm like, this guy's throwing 81. How am I missing? But I was too naive to respect a guy who's been in college baseball for 5 years.
Yeah.
He's throwing 81. He's been playing college baseball for 5 years. He probably does something right.
Yeah.
But arrogant 17-year-old Antonio was like, oh, I'm going to crush everybody. I'm the best, and had to get sat down.
Got humbled.
Bad.
That's funny. So, fresh out of high school, going all the way to the East Coast, staying with a family you've never met before, playing with a bunch of people that you don't really have that rapport with at first, right? And you're facing some studs in the league. I mean, 2 for 50. I mean, you really didn't have time to get acclimated to any of it. It's like trial by fire. You just threw yourself in there and let's see what I got.
I would have done better if I wasn't such a head case, though. I really would have, because I was going up there every AB, like trying to be too fine. Like, okay, I can't chase. I was thinking a million things in the box, and that's what caused me to play worse. It doesn't help that there's a massive jumbotron with my face that says I'm batting .04 on it. I'm like, oh my gosh, people are still buying my jersey. Like, what? Like,
That's
it was
hilarious.
crazy. I'm forever thankful for that, though. I needed it. I really needed it. And going back to your original question, what was the difference?
Yeah, what was the difference? So you come from Vermont, right? You're in a slump. Go into that first season. You do better for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
And then the jump from that first season to that second season, the obvious being playing time, but still, like, what changed in that off season?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think more than playing time, it was the support I had. Like JoJo, he's still my guy. He's at Virginia Commonwealth now, but talk about a dude who would acknowledge you every single time you did something well or you were hustling. And the little things, she's like, gee, keep working, man. You're my guy. Keep working. Keep grinding. And, like, for somebody who, my dad was my coach growing up, we could talk about baseball and how I did when I went home, so I was always getting positive reinforcement or, like, what to do better. Well, I don't have that now. So the fact that I went from summer ball getting ripped apart by coaches telling me, I started to get some hits towards the end. They're like, oh, Gianni, like, even a blind squirrel finds an acorn, Gianni, like, you were bound to get a hit. And it's like, dude, I'm 17. Like, can you, like, help me out a little? Now you're telling me I'm just getting lucky, what? And that was the thing. Like, even though I didn't play much, I still felt like he had my back all the time. And that helped me. I wasn't put in the most ideal situations, but who cares? You know, you got to be prepared for the moment. And that was at the end of the season when I started really picking it up, because I found that confidence. I found how I was going to, how my process was going to play on the field. And I was hitting 120 the first half, and I raised my average 120 points, you know, because I got that confidence. I was like, you know what? They do believe in me. They keep putting me in these situations. I'm the first guy off the bench. Like, they believe in me. And fast forward to summer ball, similar season. I hit 250, but way better. Mitch Darlington, Wenatchee Apple Sox, next summer ball team. The dude had this overwhelming belief in me, you know? And like, I could just tell, you know, he put me in the lineup every day, and he's like, G, you're my guy. You're my guy. Like, would always tell me, like, G, I don't care what your numbers say. You're so good. And it was like, it just made me play better, because I wasn't worried about proving anything to anyone, you know? And I feel like that's the biggest struggle baseball players, young baseball players face, is that who are you performing for, yourself or for other people? And that's the biggest hump to get over. Like, everybody in minor league baseball and college baseball, they're good, but it's like, what's the reason why you're playing? And that's really difficult. That's a really difficult mental roadblock. And fast forward to Central Arizona, you know, I came into the fall with that confidence that I got from summer ball. I'm like, I'm back. It's my turn now, you know. I'm the sophomore. My coach loves me, and he wants me to be the guy. And it just carried over, you know, and we had really good talks, and I wanted to be a leader on the team, and I was very fortunate to be voted our team captain at the start of the season. And, you know, with that, I was like, how can I just be the best leader? And that's leading by example off the field, on the field. How can I control my temper? And as somebody who used to throw their stuff a ton, you know, I was like learning, like, if I'm the captain now, I need to help my teammates more. And that helped.
Lead by example.
Exactly. And that helped me grow, you know? It's like, am I going to go trash talk guys, or am I going to be a big jerk off the field? Like, you know, it taught me to love and treat other people with respect, and allowed me to relax, actually. It allowed me to play free, because it's like, you know what? It's not just me. I'm playing for my team, man. Like, this is a team sport. I'm playing for my guys next to me. All 38 guys on our team are in that box with me. And I feel like that was the success, was the support. You know, it wasn't, there wasn't any different training. There wasn't anything, you know, I was doing more of. I worked hard back then too. I worked pretty even, maybe a little more, you know, now that I got a scholarship to play baseball, and this is what I'm doing all day, every day. But it was more the support than anything. You know, I had people who constantly believed in me, and told me they believed in me, and told me everything was going to be all right. And, you know, it's really important to have people in your life that encourage you, you know. And as somebody, I said this earlier, as somebody who struggled a lot mentally and had a lot of self-doubt, you know, yes, obviously you don't need affirmation to be successful. That's a bad thing. But as I was working through this, right, and as I'm continuing to grow out of it, it was really important for me to have a good support system, you know. And even off the field, family, you know, my girlfriend is very supportive and wants me to do what I love. You know, my mom and dad want me to do what I love, and it's like that's the only thing you could ask for, is for people to cheer you on.
It frees you up too, because you don't
100%.
have that negativity in
Exactly.
your ear, or, you know, all day long, every
Yeah.
day. It's do what you need to do.
And it gives you more of a drive too.
Yeah.
Like, it's given me more passion for the sport, to be like, you know what, like, people want to see me succeed, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to do it for them. I'm going to do it for myself too.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's very, it's a good feeling to have, you know. Like, that's what I credit the success to. You know, the difference, I really don't think there was anything other than understanding that I had support. You know, and I write down on my wrist every game now. It says, trust your training, you can. So that when I think negative, I look at my wrist, trust your training, you can. I say it out loud 60 times a game. And it's like, you know what? I've practiced all week for this moment. I can do it. Trust my training.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Season's over at Central Arizona, coming into this off season, and you chose to go to the University of New Mexico and be a Lobo.
Yep.
So how did that come about?
So completely flip the high school recruiting thing. I came to realize, like, with Central Arizona, the most important thing is playing, and playing for people who care about you and want to see you succeed. So after that, I was like, I was fully, fully confident. I was like, oh yeah, I could go play Power 5. Like you got to think that way. You got to think you are the best. You can't really succeed without that mindset. So, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I can go play at one of those schools, but why wouldn't I want to go to a mid-major that still can go compete, that's going to care for me, that they want me to fill this role, and I could have a tighter connection? Because that's the difference. The mid-major schools probably have better coaching because they need to develop guys. They need to create a good relationship, because why wouldn't a kid just go pick the school that's Nike Elite and gets all the gear? Hey, we're going to offer you $100,000 NIL. Come here. What are they coaching you up on? They're paying you. They're giving you everything just to, like, be good. That's it. So I went into that open door. Division III's NAIAs called me, and I responded to all of them because I was like, you know what? These people believe in me. They want to give me an opportunity. Who am I to ignore them?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what am I that good that I can't say, hey, thank you? I'm looking more towards this, but, like, I'm willing to hear you out. And my buddy texted me. He's like, hey, do you want to come play center field for us next year? It's like, I'd love to. I literally got on a flight the next day to go visit UNM. They watched me play earlier in the fall, and I did good fall. Was really happy with, very confident, and finally felt like myself again. And I'm happy they got to see that part of me and talk to them. And, it was one of those things where I was like, these are the types of guys I want to play for. Like, hey, we have this role, some people graduating. We want you to come in and be the guy. We got all the facilities for you. We want you to be a big leaguer. We're going to help you to reach that goal. We'll be there for you, Antonio. And, that was the one thing, like, I can't afford to go to school if I wasn't getting school paid for or other forms of academic aid. So that was very helpful. But money aside, like, I don't care about the money anymore. It's more of, like, are these guys going to care about me? And yeah. I had two really good opportunities in Southern Indiana as well. Coach Ramirez there, and I didn't end up picking there, but I recommend, if anybody gets an opportunity to play for that guy, that you take it, because he is such a good man. And that was just the type of thing of, like, I had these two good opportunities, and I picked closer to home in the 45-minute flight, so my family could come see me. But it was just like, to look for who cares about you was the most important thing.
And I think that goes back to all the growth from the time in Vermont to your first season at Central Arizona to your last season. All those struggles, there's always a silver lining with everything that happens in life. And the fact that you were able to overcome all that, I mean, with a great support system, but figure it all out yourself and realize your shortcomings, and not on the baseball field per se, because from what you're saying, it was a lot of mental. It wasn't even
completely
how
mental.
your mechanics or anything like that. It was all mental. It was all in your head, and being able to figure that out and overcome that is a big piece of being a good ball player.
Yeah.
So that's absolutely amazing. Looking forward to seeing you play in New Mexico next year, by the way.
Yeah, I'm so excited, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity, and I couldn't be more proud to go play for those guys. So I'm really excited to get started.
All right, so now we're going to relax. We're going to switch gears here.
Okay.
Going to ask you a few questions.
All right.
Pre-game rituals, superstitions. Do you have any? I mean, come on, that's a big part of the game. Everybody has their superstitions and their rituals.
I mean, one thing I liked introducing, like, we used to pray before every game, and that's just one thing I brought to Central Arizona. I hope they continue to do it. That's one thing, like, I always try to be better in my faith and in my belief, and I know that some may think it's forced to pray with the team, so we offer like, hey, we're going to pray. You guys don't have to if you don't want to. But that's one thing, you know. I just pray for the safety of my guys, for the other team, that we could just play with a empty mind and just play the game we love without any stress. And I just think that's a good thing, especially for just myself, to remind me like why I play the game and why I'm here. Like, I'm so blessed for these opportunities, and it's so easy to get distracted by the little things in life, that to just reset and go back to like the purpose is really what keeps me at peace, I'd say. So I mean, I read my Bible while the other team's taking BP. I take my notes. I do my Bible study in the stands at Central. I don't know how I'm going to do it at school at UNM. And then I write on my wrist, you know. I wouldn't say it's like a superstition, but I like doing it just...
It's a ritual. You do it before every game.
I like doing it just so I could remind myself that, you know, like, I've worked too hard to stress out in the moment. Like, there's no challenge too big, you know?
Yep.
So that's why I like doing it. So those are the couple things I do.
So build a player. If you could build the perfect player, whose traits are you picking? You can mix and match any players, current, old, doesn't matter.
Okay, I'm taking Barry Bonds' power and bat-to-ball skills. As a hitter, Bonds, without a doubt. Speed, Ellie De La Cruz or Bobby Witt or Carroll. All of them really similar. Defensive ability, probably Peter Borges in the outfield. Best outfielder of all time, right there. Or like Ozzie Smith infield.
I was hoping you would say Ozzie.
Yeah.
That's the first player that comes to my mind.
If he's in
it,
shortstop, Ozzie Smith.
Yeah.
You know, outfielder, Peter Borges. And then I got speed, power,
Whose
hitability.
arm?
Whose arm? Acuna. Did you see that the other day?
That throw from right field to third.
Acuna's arm is phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm old school. I'd have to say Bo Jackson, but
he didn't play long enough.
He didn't play long enough.
I'd never see any video of him.
Dude, that's a whole nother conversation right there. Bo was, to me, the greatest athlete that's ever lived. But we'll move on from that.
Yeah.
So I know you had. So we're gonna go into this real quick. I just want to touch on this. So you talked earlier, your musical talents.
Yes.
Right, and
I don't know about talents, hobbies.
Dude, stop! You're being too humble, because you always tell me that you play the drums and this, that, and the other. And I've never seen you play. And then you send me the video the other day, and I'm like, holy cow, what is going – this is a Pantera concert right here. Like, this is wild. And you were just destroying the drums for like 4 straight minutes.
Yeah.
Is that something that – is that like therapeutic? Like, you're focusing on baseball so much, but –
Oh, I love it. And that was the biggest thing that all these professional athletes tell you is you need to find something outside of your sport.
I mean, Randy Johnson plays the drums.
Yeah.
I remember the D-backs gifted him one
Did
of
he?
the
Does he really?
one of the craziest drum sets.
That's insane.
They did it at a game a few years ago.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, sports consume your life. Like, baseball consumes my life so much that I can't think about it all the time. I need to take a break, and I love the drums. Like, music is something like I always talk about how, like, artists, their way of expressing how they feel is through their artwork, right, and a visual representation. I'd say mine is more auditory. You know, my hearing's terrible, which is funny that it's auditory. I think it's gone from the drums. But, like, I like expressing the way I feel through music, you know, and playing the drums is, like, it's so challenging, which, yeah, I picked the hardest sport and the hardest instrument to play. Good job, right? But it's so fun to, like, listen to a beat and, like, oh, I want to try that style of music. Like, I like switching from, like, jazz to metal to maybe some intricate, you know, beats here and there. But, like, that stuff is so enjoyable for me. So just to get together with my buddies and jam, like, I don't know if you'll play the clip. yeah, it's so fun. It's such like it's like a nice escape, you know. So I'm bringing, and I think it makes me a better hitter. People may call me crazy, but you're using all your
I mean,
limbs
the
and
coordination it
yeah,
takes to play the
exactly.
drums.
And I think like in the swing, like the same thing. Your lower half is separate from your upper half. Same thing with the drums. So I actually think it makes my hands quicker. You know, makes my wrists nice and loose when I'm hitting. So I'm bringing my drum set to school.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right, last question, more serious. So if you were sitting in front of a Major League Baseball team right now, right? There are thousands of college players that have the skill. They have the athletic ability. And you're sitting there and they're asking you and interviewing you, why should we pick Antonio Gianni? What's your answer? What separates you? Because there's, like I said, a lot of great skilled players. But what do you bring to Major League organization?
How do I say this without sounding like very arrogant, Will? What I would say,
Yeah.
I would tell them, I would say like, okay, you could take a guy who's got a ton of pop and he's 6'4", but runs a 7.260. You could take a guy who hits for a high average, has no pop, no arm, really good defender. Or you take that guy who's, got a couple attributes, but he's missing a few. Like, I feel like I will provide all 5 for you. I'm fast. I have a good arm. I hit for power and average. Could have a little more juice. And my baseball IQ is going to get better as I play longer. I feel like I'm willing to listen and willing to be a sponge for any information you give me because I want to be a professional.
So I'm going to play MLB GM right now, and I'm interviewing you.
Okay.
What's going to make you a great teammate? Because playing ball in the majors is like any other job.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have that cohesiveness within a team, and we can see what personalities do and how big of a detriment they are to an organization. You have one bad seed, and it ruins the whole morale of the team. So how are you going to fit in to our organization and be that guy and be a great teammate?
Well, you brought me here because of my baseball ability. That's a given. You think I can play. The one thing that I want to tell you is it is so important that I have a good relationship with my teammates, that we could go hang out off the field and just be guys, and I can encourage them and we can encourage each other. That is the only way I succeed too. I can't succeed by being a jerk and not talking with my guys. And I feel like if you ask my teammates, that's it. And if they tell you otherwise, then I'm out. But I'm pretty confident if you talk to my teammates, they'd give you a good answer.
That's a great answer, great answer. And you didn't sound cocky at all.
Okay.
Right? Like, I didn't take it as you being cocky. I know you personally. He's a super humble guy, not cocky at all. So, but
well, thank you for thinking that.
It's been a lot of fun, dude. Appreciate you coming on the podcast. Thanks for being my first guest on the Diamond Grind podcast. Good luck in New Mexico this year, dude. I can't wait to watch you. And that's the end of the first episode of the Diamond Grind podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got some great information. Great young man here in Antonio. So go follow his career at New Mexico. And until next time, see you later.